Hello, welcome back to St Michael's Hill. Thanks for joining me again today. It's getting close to Christmas now, so Merry Christmas to anyone who's watching this around the time it goes up. If not, you know, obviously it's probably sometime in the middle of June, but yeah, if any of you are watching this the week it's gone up or the week after, Merry Christmas. Today's video will be a quick review of the latest member of the fleet, and I'll talk to you about what it is, what I got her for, and what I think of it. So I'll just bring her into shot now. So those who follow me on Twitter will have already seen this, but I picked this Bachmann Class 37114 in EW&S livery up from Warley. I was really pleased with the price. I picked it up from Grimy Times, so weathering specialists. So the model has been weathered by them and done to a very kind of high standard. I'm very pleased with it. I was very pleased to find out that it was also DCC fitted, so didn't even need to pick up a chip, which is obviously which is great. The model itself, I'll just move it back down the platform a little bit so we can see her all. The model of the 37, it represents the split head code version, which I don't actually have any of. It features working lights, so directional as well, so we change it there from reverse to front lights, which look great. The front end detailing has been done to a very high standard. The snow plows have been fitted by Grimy Times. And yeah, it's just a really great model. It's something that fits perfectly into what I'm doing. So the very beginning of kind of EW&S, as you'll see there, originally the EW&S logos were all branded EW&S. So this is represents one of the first logos to be kind of given the EW&S livery. Yeah, it really looks good. The weathering is subtle, but not sure how well it shows up on camera, but it's subtle, but it gives it kind of quite a grimy feel. I'll put it up against the inspection saloon in a minute, and you can kind of see the real difference in colour, because it has been quite subtly done. It's just like an overall level of grime that makes it look so good. So let's have a kind of closer look at what we've got. So at the front end here, so let's have a closer look at what we've got. The front detailing has been done very well. As you can see, the jumper cables and the the realistic coupling have been fitted to one end, so the other end is just a normal tension lock coupling. Here a little bit, you can see that the other end has been fitted with the plough, but not much extra detailing, so we've just got the tension lock coupling. There is a few little bits of pipe work stuck on there, which look the part. I really like the split head code version. They probably look a little bit more, I don't want to say ugly, but they've got a bit more of a kind of peculiar kind of front end, which I quite like. I'd say that my favourite one is probably the one without the split head code in terms to look at, but actually on a model it's quite nice to have something different to the rest of those fleets. So it's a little bit different to my load haul class 37. Maybe at some point I will actually at some point in a minute get I will at the end of this video get out the load haul class 37 and do a bit of a comparison between the Vi-trains and the Bachmann version, which will be quite interesting, I'm sure. This isn't one of the more recent Bachmann 37s, so it's a slightly older version, which would have come in the kind of slightly older packaging here. So it's not maybe quite the most recent tooling, but I think it stands up very well. It'd be very good to have a look at the comparison between that and the V-Trains version. The nameplates have been added and have been done to a high standard. There's no kind of smear around that, and also the detailing across the whole loco has been added very nicely, either by Bachmann or, like I said, Grimy Times have done a fabulous job on the weathering. As you can see, there's also a driver fitted at the end with the detailing, so that will be obviously the front of the train most of the time. But yeah, generally very, very good. The roof detailing is good, and the weathering around the exhausts has been picked out quite nicely. I just, yeah, very, very impressed with the work that Grimy Times have done. And their pricing's pretty good too. I think I would recommend you head over to their website. There are a lot of shows, so yeah, it's well worth doing. And the service that I was given at the show by them was great. They kind of let me have a good look at it, let me test it, and obviously gave me any guarantees that if I had any issues I could send it back to them. But it's been working great. The running is very smooth straight out of the box. I need to properly give it a running in, but yeah, it's already working very, very well. I'm just going to grab the EW&S inspection saloon. It'll probably give you a better indication of the colours. So side by side, you can, I'm not sure how well it's being picked up on camera, but you can certainly see that the loco's been kind of weathered up and looks a bit more grimy than the inspection saloon, but generally the colour match between the two is very, very good. So yeah, very happy with how that looks, and it'll be a nice train to feature on the layout. Something that's quite small. As I said when I got the inspection saloon, I enjoy the fact that I can just run a little, one car in a loco as a full train, or it can be run with any of the wagons at the back there. So yeah, very, very, very pleased with this loco and how it's going to be used on the layout. So I've got the V-Trains version and the Bachmann version out to kind of have a look at in terms of just a comparison, really. So having a quick look, they both seem very, very decent models. There's not too much between them. I think there's probably a little bit more kind of depth in the grills on the Bachmann version than there is on the V-Trains version. That's certainly true. I think those grills look a little bit more shallow than these ones. The doors are a little finer on the Bachmann version, so just look a little thinner than the V-Trains version, that look a little bit more chunky. But generally, they're of a very kind of similar standard. In terms of weight, this kind of feels like there's a little bit more weight on the Bachmann version, which will obviously help with pulling loads. The front end detailing is interesting. So the Bachmann version has obviously not been done by myself, but it looks a little bit more chunky. So the V-Trains version, it's a little bit difficult to see, but I've done it myself, and it's just not quite as chunky, which I'm not sure which I kind of like more. I feel I like the Bachmann version a little bit more, but I'm not sure if it's as prototypical as the V-Trains version. Obviously the front ends are different, they're modelled on different prototypes, so it's difficult to necessarily compare the two, but I would say it looks to be a little bit more detailing on the Bachmann version, although it should be said that the weathering does pick out a little bit more of the detail. The other thing about the front ends is they both feature sprung buffers. I kind of feel that the V-Trains version's got a slightly nicer feel to the sprung buffers, but there's not a lot in it. They're both both sprung, which is the kind of important thing, and seems to be the modern standard for locos. Obviously the plastic on the Bachmann version looks a little better just because it's been weathered up. I will add weathering to the load haul version, and hopefully I can kind of do a good job getting that right, because it's probably going to be a slightly older loco in terms of the load haul livery coming to the end of its life. With the EW&S version would have been slightly newer. I might go for a slightly heavier weathering job on the load haul version, try and make it look a little bit more distressed, add some rust and things like that. So I won't go too over the top. It still needs to be a working loco, but it's probably what I'll aim for when I go for the weathering. I will probably at some point next year do that and bring you a video of how I've done it, just because it's interesting to see how novices like me get on with things like that. So yeah, that's another good thing. When it comes to livery and paint jobs, I think they're both very, very decent. The cantrail stripe on the EW&S version is slightly thinner, slightly finer paint job than the one on the load haul version, but in all instances the lines are very, very crisp, very neat, so that's definitely something nice. The fans are, both have got kind of hollow fans with kind of a working fan, or not working, but a representation of a fan inside. The V-Train's version is slightly smaller. The Bachmann version has got a slightly bigger fan, and the grill looks a little bit finer, to be honest. So probably if you're going to pick between the two, it's probably slightly the Bachmann version. One thing I have noticed with the Bachmann version over the V-Train's version is the lighting. So the lighting just seems a little better on the Bachmann version. The V-Train's version is a little, certainly when it comes to the rear lights, the red lights aren't very clear, whereas the Bachmann ones are. The front lights as well on the V-Train's version, there's a little bleed of light, so where the nose has been put onto the body, there's just a little gap, and it might be something that I can easily fix. I'm not sure, I might need to kind of have a look at that, but there is a little bit of like light bleed out of there, whereas I've not noticed anything like that on the Bachmann version. But they're both very, very good models. I really can't complain. The V-Train's version was a little bit cheaper. No, it wasn't, custom weathered and DCC fitted, but I think generally you'll pick up a V-Train's version of the 37 quicker than cheaper than you'll pick up the Bachmann version. So I wouldn't say there's too much in it. I don't think the V-Train's version, from my point of view, is much worse. I know potentially people who know 37s a lot better than me might be able to pick out a lot more kind of details that aren't quite right on the V-Train's version or even the Bachmann version, but from a kind of just a model, from someone who's only a casual fan, I'd say that there isn't too much in it. Yeah, generally though, very happy with both of them. At some point I will get them both running on the layout together and you'll be able to see, but in the meantime I will leave you with some running shots of the Bachmann 37, and I will see you very soon on St Michael's Hill. Thanks very much. Bye.